Welcome to Palace Insider, where secrets behind the golden gates come to light. Lately, whispers of unease have been spreading through the royal halls, not over politics, but something far more personal. According to an inside source, right before Christmas, King Charles personally reviewed top-secret intelligence. What he found reportedly shook him to the core. It wasn't about outside threats, but Queen Camilla. Surveillance footage allegedly caught her in restricted palace areas, at odd hours, using hidden corridors meant for senior staff only. Soon after, clearances were revoked, documents locked up, and schedules mysteriously changed. Then the king called a private meeting. No aides, no staff, just him behind closed doors. And still, the palace stays silent. Camilla has kept completely quiet, but questions echo through those royal corridors like a ghost that won't rest. What could King Charles have discovered that made him take such drastic steps to protect the crown? And what truth could shake the Queen's position so badly? Just before Christmas, Buckingham Palace was glowing with perfection. Pine wreaths, candlelight, and staff hustling to make everything picture perfect. It was the kind of royal calm that looked flawless from the outside, but behind the luxury, something darker was stirring. Camilla, always the picture of control after years under the spotlight, seemed calm as ever. But insiders say her confidence was slipping, and quiet tension filled the air. Deep in the palace's restricted halls, the royal security system started flagging strange activity. Footage and files showing something no one expected. And the name in those confidential records? A face everyone knows. Edward Langley, mid-50s, loyal, quiet, and nearly invisible, had worked for the royals for nearly 3 decades. Known for his dedication to logistics and historical preservation, he was the type no one ever questioned, until the cameras started telling a different story. Internal reports revealed Queen Camilla meeting Langley in odd, hidden corners of the palace, behind dusty shelves of the old library or inside long-forgotten storage rooms. These weren't official meetings. They were unrecorded, private, and always off the books, sometimes late at night, sometimes right before dawn, and never once listed in her royal schedule. Sources say the footage caught brief touches, long stares, and moments thick with tension. Too close for comfort between a queen and her employee. Meanwhile, King Charles sat alone in his office, going through the secret files handed to him by palace security. After a lifetime of dealing with rumors and scandals, he wanted to dismiss it all. But this time, the evidence hit too close to home. At first, King Charles brushed it off as a misunderstanding. Maybe just innocent workplace moments caught at the wrong angle. But his advisors had been careful, detailed, and dead serious. No gossip, no assumptions, just raw evidence. Security footage, timestamps, maps of movements, all laid out in chilling order. Week by week, the pattern became impossible to ignore. This wasn't tabloid drama. It was the palace's own data, collected by their internal systems. The realization hit hard. The possible breach wasn't from the outside. It was from someone closest to him. That night, when the palace went quiet and the Christmas lights shimmered beyond the frosted windows, Charles sat alone in his study. The computer screen was dark, replaced by the soft glow of holiday candles. But his thoughts were storming. He thought about every year spent with Camilla, every public battle fought for her, every sacrifice made to legitimize their love. He had given her his name, his trust, his crown, and now he faced a truth he never thought he'd question. If the evidence was real, it wasn't just a private heartbreak. It was a ticking royal scandal. A secret connection between the Queen and a palace employee could crush the monarchy's image overnight. King Charles sat frozen, his hand gripping the desk as the weight of it all sank in. He realized he couldn't think like a hurt husband anymore. He had to act as the king. Protecting the crown came first, no matter how deep the pain cut. If this was true, it threatened not just his marriage, but the entire royal system itself. In that quiet, heavy moment, he made a choice. The truth had to come out, and he'd face it himself before the situation exploded beyond control. Soon after, a secret royal inquiry began. Silent, precise, and kept far from public eyes. Only a handful of elite security officers and royal heritage experts knew about it, answering directly to the king himself. Every move of the secret operation was handled in total silence. Only the king saw the final reports. At first, the focus was on Camilla and Edward Langley's strange meetings. But soon, investigators stumbled upon something far darker than a personal scandal. The deeper they dug, the more unsettling it became. Tracking data showed the Queen had entered off-limits palace zones, rooms meant only for handling ancient royal treasures. She had the right to access her jewels and ceremonial pieces, sure, but the logs exposed visits to chambers even top officials rarely entered. Then came the shocker. The palace's tamper-proof system revealed that, several times, Camilla had slipped into a hidden section called the Windsor Vault. This wasn't just any room. It stored relics so secret, some weren't even listed in royal archives. These late-night trips were written off as routine inspections, but none had been officially approved. And when the next report hit King Charles's desk, his unease turned into alarm. A priceless antique chest from the vault had vanished. The missing item existed only in scraps of old records. No modern entry, no curator's approval, and no royal authorization. King Charles had never signed off on any transfer, which turned what started as a personal issue into a full-blown royal crime. Someone had tampered with national treasures, and the trail pointed disturbingly close to home. As investigators dug deeper, the findings grew even more alarming. Around the same time as Camilla's secret visits, strange gaps appeared in the crown jewels inventory. Priceless pieces once linked to Princess Diana, her pearl necklace, those famous diamond earrings, were suddenly gone from official lists. This wasn't about broken trust anymore. It was about the monarchy's legacy itself. Each revelation hit the king harder, twisting heartbreak into something heavier. A deep, silent betrayal. Fearing a scandal that could shake the throne, Charles ordered total secrecy. Only the tight inner circle knew the truth. No word was to leave the investigation room or his private office. There would be no press statements, no royal consultations, no whispers beyond closed doors. King Charles knew that if the truth leaked too soon, it could blow the monarchy apart. So he chose to bear the weight alone. Each new detail uncovered felt like another blow, dragging hidden secrets into the light. The pressure grew heavier by the day, pressing down like the crown itself. Though the king appeared calm in public, those close to him noticed the chill setting in. Camilla, after decades by his side, sensed the change instantly. The air around them turned cold, not from duty, but from something deeper and unspoken. Charles spoke less, his words clipped and formal, his gaze distant. Whenever she tried to reach him, it was like talking to a shadow of the man she once knew. Then came the most telling sign. Camilla's name vanished from the list of royal strategy meetings. Once treated as the king's closest ally, she was suddenly cut out, and the courtiers who once bowed to her now kept their distance in uneasy silence. Camilla was met with polite smiles and quick excuses, but the message was clear. She was being quietly pushed out. In the palace, when doors closed without a word, it meant something serious was coming. Feeling the walls closing in, she started working in the shadows. Even though King Charles had locked down the investigation, Camilla still had allies among the lower palace staff. Her goal? Wipe away every trace that could tie her to the scandal. She ordered routine system upgrades, asking tech teams to check vault software and security logs, pretending it was all about improving cyber defenses. But behind that cover, she tampered with records, editing access histories, adding fake entries, and causing digital chaos that looked like technical glitches. When the missing Windsor Vault chest drew attention, she twisted the blame toward clerical errors and rookie staff. Some employees were quietly pressured to keep silent or sign off on falsified inventories, and one staffer who asked too many questions, shipped off to a distant royal estate, gone without explanation. Every one of Camilla's secret moves was made with precision. In public, she looked flawless, smiling at crowds, shaking hands with grace, and radiating royal charm. But behind that calm mask, fear was taking over. Each Christmas event became a performance, every camera flash hiding sleepless nights and growing panic. She kept wondering, how much did Charles really know, and when would he make his move? What she didn't realize was that the king was already several steps ahead. He had quietly ordered his security team to back up every original file, untouched, sealed, and protected. So, every fix Camilla tried only made things worse, leaving a trail of proof pointing straight to her. After days of careful digging, The investigation ended. The final report landed on the king's desk, complete with evidence of unauthorized meetings, missing treasures, altered records, and staff intimidation. And as Charles turned each page, he felt no fury, just a cold, heavy disappointment that cut deeper than anger ever could. The fury had burned out. What remained in King Charles was pure exhaustion and heartbreak. Duty now outweighed emotion. With a slow motion, he closed the file, knowing the time for denial was over. The truth had to be faced. He summoned Queen Camilla, alone. No aides, no staff, just the two of them. The meeting place was Balmoral Castle, inside an old study rarely used except for moments of royal reckoning. The air was thick with tension, the windows framed by frosted gardens outside. Inside, silence ruled the room. Camilla entered, calm on the surface but trembling within. She expected a talk about their distance, or maybe a few harsh words about gossip, but nothing could prepare her for the confrontation waiting ahead. Charles stood near the fireplace, the file clutched tightly in his hand. The firelight cast a glow across his tired face, showing the weight of sleepless nights and sorrow. When he finally turned toward her, his look was icy, not that of a husband, but of a king ready to demand the truth. His stare wasn't that of a husband. It was the cold, steady gaze of a king passing judgment. His voice was calm but final, each word cutting through the silence like stone. There was no room for debate, no mercy in his tone, just facts, clear and undeniable. He began with the evidence of her connection to Edward Langley, footage, exact times, and precise maps of every secret meeting. Every moment had been documented, leaving no space for excuses. Camilla's control cracked as reality sank in. Every attempt to erase the truth had failed. Her face turned pale, yet she still tried to deny it. Charles didn't even flinch. He moved past the affair as if it were already closed and turned to something far heavier, the theft of royal property. He revealed logs of her unauthorized entries into the Windsor vault, those secret late-night visits, and the proof of the missing antique chest. Then came the final blow, the disappearance of Princess Diana's jewels, pieces with national and emotional weight. He demanded no defense, only her silence in the face of truth. Camilla couldn't fight back. The proof was overwhelming, every detail locked in place. Shaking, she sank into a chair and buried her face in her hands. Tears spilled as she admitted to weakness, to loneliness, and to the terrible mistake of getting involved with Edward Langley, a betrayal she now bitterly regretted. But when King Charles demanded answers about the missing chest and the lost royal heirlooms, her voice failed completely. She cried, but gave no reason, no explanation, nothing that could justify breaking the trust of the crown. For Charles, this was beyond infidelity. It was treason against duty itself. The woman he had defended for decades had violated the sacred responsibility she swore to uphold. He looked at her, the same woman who had stood beside him through scandals and storms, and his voice came low but final. All of your privileges end as of this moment. No fury, no shouting, just the cold certainty of a monarch delivering his last judgment. His words hung in the air like a closing door, the end of her royal life, and the last trace of what they once were. Camilla lifted her tear-streaked face toward the king, eyes filled with dread. She knew there was no escaping his verdict. There would be no royal trial, no public spectacle, no official statement. Her downfall unfolded in silence, hidden deep within palace walls. King Charles handled everything himself, calm, secret, and absolute. The dignity of the crown had to be protected at any cost, and the truth was buried beneath a flawless facade of order. No accusations were spoken aloud. Instead, his punishment came through quiet but merciless actions. Piece by piece, her royal world was dismantled. Her security access was revoked, passwords deleted, and her clearance to the vaults instantly canceled. Locks were changed overnight, and palace guards were told to deny her any entry to restricted areas. No exceptions. She was erased from strategy meetings and removed from all event planning. Aides who once rushed to serve her were quietly reassigned, leaving her completely isolated. By the time the final orders were in place, Queen Camilla's royal power had vanished. She was still inside the palace, but utterly cut off from its heart. The punishment crept into every corner of Camilla's life. Her calendar was wiped clean overnight, public appearances reassigned, events quietly canceled. Though she still lived within the palace walls, she became a ghost in plain sight. Seen, but never truly there. Staff moved around her with stiff politeness, avoiding eye contact, terrified of being linked to her downfall. Officially, she still held the title Queen Consort. But it meant nothing now, a title without power, respect, or voice. The royal family couldn't risk another scandal, so the illusion was carefully kept. Glitter on the outside, emptiness beneath. Camilla didn't fight it. The confrontation had drained her completely. She accepted her exile in silence, knowing her place in the royal circle was gone forever. The palace that once felt grand and familiar now felt like a cold maze of closed doors. She spent her days alone behind drawn curtains, listening to the distant sounds of Christmas preparations echoing through halls she no longer belonged to. And then, on a gray, silent morning, she left. No farewell, no ceremony, just a quiet exit from the royal stage. There was no grand farewell, no press release, and not a single photographer called to witness the moment. Everything happened in complete silence. A modest, unmarked car waited at a side entrance, blending into the gray morning. Camilla stepped inside with just a few personal items. No crown jewels, no crests, no symbols of royal power. She left as quietly as she had once entered the monarchy's world of luxury and control. Her heels clicked faintly across the marble floor, echoing through corridors that had once bowed to her presence. Then the sound faded, her final trace inside the palace gone. The queen consort had vanished from royal life like mist dissolving at dawn, leaving behind only whispers and memories of what she once represented. Her removal wasn't dramatic, it was surgical. A quiet extraction of scandal wrapped in dignity. Staff moved on with a strange calm, as if the palace itself exhaled in relief. The Christmas lights stayed bright, the events went on, but something unspoken lingered in every glittering room. King Charles appeared composed, yet noticeably alone. He attended events without her, smiling for the cameras, but with tired eyes that betrayed the cost of his decisions. And when curious voices asked, "Where is the Queen?" the palace's response was always the same: polite, vague, and final. Her Majesty is attending to private matters. The palace's official explanations were perfectly polished. Neutral words crafted to quiet curiosity without saying anything real. The press, left with no solid trail, had little choice but to move on. Yet at royal events, the change was impossible to ignore. Jewelry once linked to Princess Diana, her pearl necklace, her iconic diamonds, no longer appeared. As if erased from the royal story itself, the mysterious chest's fate remained locked away, buried under layers of secrecy known only to King Charles and a select few advisors. The public sensed something had changed, something uneasy beneath the surface, but with no proof. The media could only speculate and step back. King Charles carried on, but his demeanor was unmistakably different. The calm dignity remained, yet his eyes held a sharper focus, his manner more guarded. Pain had reshaped him, turning quiet heartbreak into steely resolve. The king's mission now was clear: protect the crown's honor at all costs. Under his command, the palace launched a sweeping internal overhaul. Security tightened overnight, logs and inventories were rechecked line by line, and access to royal vaults was sealed with new restrictions. No one, not even senior staff, could bypass the new barriers. As for Camilla, her name disappeared completely. It was no longer spoken at dinners, in briefings, or in private discussions. Within palace walls, she became what few in royal history had ever been: erased without being declared gone. Inside the palace, everyone knew the rule: silence was survival. No one dared to speak her name. Camilla was erased from the living picture of royal life, her presence wiped clean as if she had never existed. Even those who once worked at her side learned quickly that mentioning her, even in passing, could cost them everything. Still, the scandal left scars the crown couldn't hide. Behind the polished smiles and perfect ceremonies, the memory of what happened lingered like a shadow. It was a hard lesson that even inside the grandest, most guarded institution, personal weakness could shake the walls from within. The king's relationships, especially with his children, became more careful, more distant. Trust was no longer given, It had to be earned, watched, and measured. Every word, every action was now weighed with royal caution. Deep within the restricted chambers of the royal archives, a sealed file was stored, untouchable except by the king's command. Inside it, every piece of evidence, every photo, report, and record tied to the affair. On the cover, written in King Charles's own steady hand, were the words, "The honor of the throne must always be protected, even at the cost of silence." That sentence became the final word on the entire saga. A quiet decree that buried heartbreak beneath duty. The monarchy carried on as if untouched, its image restored before the world. Yet behind the gold and grandeur, the truth slept in darkness, locked away forever. And so, the story of Queen Camilla faded into silence, a lesson buried deep in the secret history of the crown. Her name erased, her legacy locked away, remembered only in whispers that will never reach the public ear. The palace moved on, but the truth, hidden beneath layers of duty and deception, remains sealed forever. What do you think really happened behind those royal doors? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more untold royal scandals. And we'll see you in the next video.